Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. Last time we washed ashore again, and now Sabin finds himself in Moblise, a speed bump in our journey back to Narshe. But we're a ways away from that town, and here we found a wounded soldier, a defector from the Imperial Army. And he is a girl back home in Miranda, but the Imperial soldiers who he defected from found him and broke all of his bones. So that's where we're coming in. We wrote a letter to his girl, and we mailed it for him. Very good people. At the outrageous cost of 500 gil for that small parcel. Can't find your favorite record. I thought I'd play it and you'd be with me. That's what she sent to him in response. Super cool. And there's a lot more to it. So it's 500 gil to mail the parcel, and in order for him to get a reply, you have to rest specifically at the inn. There's a bed you can use back in the town's relic shop, but that doesn't progress the side quest. So it's 500 gil to send the parcel and 100 to sleep at the inn, and you have to do this 5 times in total. Because she wants a record and a book, and her family's sick, so gotta send her a potion. And oh, I haven't heard from you in like a day, so please send me another letter. So 3,000 gil later. So 3,000 gil later, we get our sweet, sweet reward because this guy is so grateful. Take this token of my appreciation. We get a tintinabulum. The short of it is that it is a bell on a pole. The long of it is that it's a penis. Like so many things in life, if you really just take a second and consider it, it's a penis. Like a bell on a bell end. It's an ancient Roman tradition that wards off curses, supposedly, and it was eventually co-opted as a Catholic tradition. What the item in the game does, by the way, went to the wrong shop. That up there is the relic shop. I'm looking for the item shop so we can buy dried meat and then get out of this town. What the item in the game does, that we just got, it's a relic that when you equip it, it heals you every time you take a step. And that healing stat will scale with your character's stamina. Also, yeah, might as well. We have a lot of gil. Even after burning 3,000 gil for that stupid item. Whatever, we have the satisfaction of being good people. We can make it out into the world now with our dried meat in hand, and we're good to go. Why did we buy dry meat? Because we ran into a feral boy roaming the veldt. And he was saying something about, he was complaining about hunger pangs. And we might run into him again. In fact, we're gonna at the end of this encounter. Oh, I wish either of these two had some multi-target DPS. I think Cyan's 4th Bushido Flurry, I think that might hit multiple targets, or it's just that it hits multiple times. And I think it's also going to be a minute before we get some kind of multi-target for Sabin as well. Luckily, we will run into a new party member who has kind of out of control DPS, single or multi-target. In fact, this new party member is kind of one of the best. Hey, Gao showed up once again, so he's hungry. We're gonna give him a little bit of meat. You can't give him the 2 green cherries you have. Apparently they don't count as food. And what ensues is a really, really good cutscene. It's good-ass music. Like, I really love the veldt overworld music, as I was talking about last time. Cyan and he's Sabin. The boy speaks decently. And then you have this little pissing contest between Gao and Sabin. I really enjoy. Oh shit, and Sabin's backing down a little bit. I don't want to hurt you, he says to the adult. Oh, shit. This is just such a good scene. And Gao is absolutely loving it. We like dancing. Oh, it's so good. Everything about this I like. So as you might have guessed, Gao is going to become our new party member. You can actually skip getting him. I would not recommend it because Gao is that really powerful character I was talking about just now. Gao is kind of amazing. And there's really no reason to skip getting him. It's really easy to trigger him appearing, and you get meat right in the town that you come across. Right in Mobley's in the item shop. Gao's unique ability is his Rage, which allows him to take on the abilities and properties of enemy monsters that you've encountered. And he gets to occasionally attack twice and do some other fun stuff. But mostly he'll either pick randomly between doing a regular attack command or using a certain ability. It's like one ability per monster type. But you lose control of him after you engage the Rage. And to learn new rages, you encounter monsters in the world, and then you come back to the Veld, and then you run into them again, and then you have Gao leap onto them. And there are also some enemies who have rage techniques that you can't learn because they don't appear on the Veld, like Siegfried. Siegfried, the guy we ran into back on the train. Or enemies that appear here who don't have rages, so you can't learn from them, like Tonberries. You can get Tonberries to spawn out here, but they don't offer you anything. And so this kit is really appropriate for him. I feel like everybody has a really consistent, appropriate set of tools for their class or their archetype. And that's what it is. It reinforces like this core stereotype or archetype that makes the characters identifiable. I guess that's a decent excuse to talk about why the story in FF6 works and it's such an important genre game for its era. So this is something that Final Fantasy VI does. It uses these archetypes, these really simple things that they anchor all of the other, I think, what's his name, Kappa? Kappa's gonna go through a quick tutorial of Gao's abilities I just already went through. So we're gonna go through this real quick. Just like all those terrible, overly long, complicated FF8 tutorials that kind of screwed a lot of people over and made junctioning and shit seem more complicated than they actually were. So they build off of these archetypes that start out two-dimensional, you know, and then they shade those in as you go along. It gives you a lot of room for growth and a lot of what I'll call personality readability. Even if the end result isn't like necessarily the super complicated thing. We're actually gonna have Gao leap out here. And then, oh, I can't back out of this now. Yeah, I think at least one of these is probably new. So he'll come back the next time we encounter him with some new abilities for his rage, to fuel his rage. So, sometimes when I talk about story and characters in Final Fantasy VI, I think I can make it sound like something that's not. And that's partially my fault. What Final Fantasy VI is not a really deep narrative with like a superb plot and these fully three-dimensional characters with so many shades of gray. What it is, and why I'll call it a really well-written game, is a game that knows what it is. Like, it's a goofy, fun, but also easy to emotionally invest in game. It's easy to relate to these weird cardboard cutout characters because they take a bunch of really simple elements Simple characters, simple plot, simple themes. And simple isn't to say grounded, but more like just basic. And they do a really good job of presenting that stuff. It's generally just good storytelling that lets that come across. I think the appearance of this treasure is either in like a really, really pixel specific spot, or it's just a matter of like how much you walk around. Usually when it appears for me, it's like, oh no, I think I may have just, yeah, cool. So that, wow, that's weird looking. What is that? Dirty glass bowl. Yeah. Might just fit over your head and, could it allow you to breathe underwater? Yeah, it's like a diving bell, or a diving helmet. So once again, with Sabin in the party, we're gonna dive into a river. Cool, we meet so many cool people this way. I hope it lets me back out here, because I don't think there's anything else in the cave, but would be nice. Yeah, so it's it's generally good storytelling, especially for the era, and that's really important. So the end result is this really enjoyable, but also kind of cartoony story that can also really surprise you when it does go for those certain emotional beats or those chords, or where it starts to flow out of its mold and branch out and explore its world and its characters and plot a little bit. And look at this Mode 7! Look at this brilliant Mode 7 shit. Oh man, you take for granted what was advanced at the time. Oh, I like this song too. And they do it with such confidence, you know? And precision, that it's impossible not to just fall in love with it. And I'll take Final Fantasy 13 as the game that I'll use as a direct contrast, where the characters all follow, you know, a cliche or a stereotype, but they don't grow very much, and the game doesn't explore them much. You know what? I will give 13 credit for one character, and like the way they handle one character. And he's a character that most people hate. It's Hope. I actually think Hope is probably the character with the most depth in that whole story, because he grows. He has a relatable, like, emotional turmoil, and he kind of gets over that as things go on. That conflict with Snow. Hope is like one of the rare examples of Final Fantasy 13 actually handling a character pretty well, I find. Even though people just seem to hate him, because he does come off as kind of whiny in the beginning, but he has some justification for being as whiny as he is. But for the most part, that's the exception in 13. The game doesn't explore those characters very well. So it's easy to recognize the type of character that you're dealing with, like with Vanille or Lightning from the get-go. But they're just these static, blah things, and by the end, that's what makes them trite. And the plot is just like this murky, stupid-ass, buzzword-filled, joyless fucking morass that you have to wade through. And you never get a good sense for why you should care. About the Foul Sea and the Lassie and blah blah blah, Cocoon Grand Pulse, fuck off. And it's a complete failing of the storytelling. And it also kind of reeks of insecurity. Like this insecurity that, oh, we can't just do a simple story. People want this grand, epic, complex adventure. Simple is what we did before, and we have to reinvent the wheel. It's utterly without direction or confidence. And it's within the Final Fantasy series, it's one of the biggest contrast points to Final Fantasy VI. This game that has so much value put into the storytelling, even if it's not Hemingway that doesn't take anything away from, like, the craft that goes into it. Or how invested you can get in these really pretty simple characters. And it's important to keep that in mind when you're looking back at this now, especially nearly 25 years later, and trying to understand what people saw in it and continue to see in it. And more to that point of putting it in its historical context, this is from an era where most games did not have anything even close to this level of exposition or storytelling or anything like that. Anything more than, like, threadbare plot dumps to contextualize this journey that you're about to go on. Like, I'm thinking specifically of Mega Man X, or just any Mega Man game, as being, like, that's the standard of storytelling, for the most part. That was, like, what the average story was like in this era. And Final Fantasy VI, on the other hand, is like the king of the hill for Final Fantasy, and something that Final Fantasy and JRPGs did back in the day. It was try to tell compelling stories in a medium that had typically not had very much of that. And that's why JRPGs continued to be really important in the landscape of games for such a long time. And why Final Fantasy kind of stayed on top. And especially Square Enix. Like, Square Enix is in general. But especially Final Fantasy. Oh, no, I think... Yeah, I think there was probably a right turn that I wanted to make early on that I thought I was supposed to go left at. Either way, all we actually missed out on by doing it in that sequence was an X potion somewhere in a cave. So it's not really a big loss, and what I made up for that loss with was a lot of XP. Because I think if you forego the route that brings you to the cave with the treasure in it, you fight a lot more of those random battles. Which I actually kind of need. Oh, the dancer. I think the Japanese version is a lot more direct with calling her a prostitute. Don't be a stick in the mud. I call this one Humpty and this one Dumpty. Oh, yeah. Cyan's reaction to the prostitute is just so fucking superb. And the fact that, like, she implies that she's named her breasts Humpty and Dumpty? What the fuck? One of the benefits of all my years of aesthetic training. And Gao just stares on at this scene. This foolishness. Oh man, I love it. I love Cyan lecturing a hooker. It's fucking great. Alright, let's get out of here. We really only came into the pub to see that one scene. We are a hop, skip, and a jump away from Narshe. We did wind up, once again, washing ashore. Sabin forever finding good fortune jumping into bodies of water. We washed ashore somewhere pretty close to South Figaro. And from here, we will take the ferry and we'll wind up in Narshe. Is there anything else I really want? Bandana's not worth shit. Is there a weapon shop in here? I only saw the armor shop. Oh yeah, there it is. It's all like a big outdoor bazaar. Yeah, the Mithril Pike, we could probably use one of. I already have the Kitetsu for Cyan. Yeah, I think we're good there. I think we're actually pretty good. Oh, and a few fun facts about Cyan. Cyan is Sakaguchi's favorite character in the game. And I think a lot of that has to do with, like, how emotionally resonant his, all of his trials are up to this, like, very early point in the game. Because he was there as the first-hand witness to the poisoning of Doma. He lost his wife and child. We had that really good scene, if not for the poorly timed comedic relief. With them taking off on the Phantom train. Cyan's a good character. I like him. He also reminds me of, what's-his-face? From the Red Ribbon Army in Dragon Ball. The guy with the ponytail, I can't remember his name. But whenever I see the Amano portrait, that's what I think of. It's not even one of the Amano portraits I dislike. It just reminds me of that character, who was a villain, and not an honorable and noble knight. Oh, but also, you can change a chocobo's feathers in Final Fantasy XIV to the color cyan by feeding it Doman fruit. That's such an elaborate Easter egg. Such an obscure sounding one, too. Emperor Gestahl is racing to acquire Magitech power. Yeah, at some point, I believe somebody refers to it as, in the Ted Woolsey translation, as weapons of Magitech destruction. Just fuck right off with that, Ted Woolsey. Why? Why? Oh, and we're starting to unite back up. Except the party has grown a lot since we separated. Almost everybody has acquired somebody new, has brought someone new along. Sabin came back with 2 new people. Almost 4 if Shadow hadn't left us at Barren Falls. But he came back with Cyan and Gao. And they're getting caught up now. So we have a nice moment of reuniting the party. Getting a nice exposition dump so everybody's up to speed, including the player. In case the player has maybe had a lapse in attention up to this point, we have a plot dump for them, and so we know all the characters are caught up. And now Locke, fashionably late to the party, comes with news that the Empire is poised to attack Narshe. Which is important information to bring to the party because Bannon and, what's his name, Arvis, and all of them are arguing about how, no, the Empire isn't gonna attack, Narshe is neutral, why would they attack us? We just have to make sure that we're not collaborating. But no, they're gonna be attacked anyway. Oh, and Cyan and General Celeste! Yes, and we have tension within the party too. Ah, man! Come to think of it, like, every cutscene that we've had has been pretty meaningful. It doesn't feel like we've had very many conversations like this, like long cutscenes that felt like filler. Oh, and look at everyone lining up real nice for this hero shot. Yeah, I love it. I love the people of Narshe saying that we aren't collaborators. So we'll be fine. If you guys want to hear the most consistently good line readings of the word collaborator, by the way, you should watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine, because every single time they refer to someone as being a collaborator, it's the best. It's like every line read is dripping with utter hate. Nobody likes a collaborator. These Cardassian collaborators. Yeah, so everybody's on the same page now. Bannon, the village elder, our whole gigantic party now. Everybody is on the same page. This is such a good shot. Oh, man. Love you, Final Fantasy VI. It's interesting that everybody is lined up single file like that. But Celeste and Edgar walk shoulders to shoulder, side by side. Up till now. Who would have thought we'd meet again like this? You can use magic too, can't you? But it's different from mine. We did learn a little bit about this in our introduction expo dump. When I was a baby, I was artificially infused with magic. Raised as Magitech Knight. Yeah, this is kind of a weird line of questioning, if you think about it. It has its there's a reason for it, given later, but for now, it just seems kind of out of nowhere. And now, look at the lineup. Now we have to do a little bit of getting ready. We have a lot of prep work to do. So I'll be back in just a moment. Alright, we have everyone equipped. And more importantly, everyone's healed up. So Mog's gonna show up to explain the objective, and whenever Mog shows up like this, we know that we're somehow splitting the party up. This one isn't gonna be a long-term split, but what we are doing is dividing into 3 groups from our 7 party members. This part is awesome. This part is really cool, because it's building up to a climactic end to, if you want to divide this game into a typical 3-act structure, this would be the end of Act 1 that we're building to. And whatever group that Gao is in is going to be the one. Gao's party is going to be the heavy hitters. It's going to be pretty much the boss-killing party. Unfortunately, that leaves Terra's party and Edgar's party just a little bit weak, since they lack a 3rd member, and since the strongest 2 are both in the middle one, with Gao. This might look familiar. What we're doing is essentially the same thing as we did earlier with Locke and the many Mughals defending Terra. So we can switch between the parties, we can arrange them wherever we want. This time, however, it's much harder. This is the real thing. All of those soldiers that you saw Kefka form up behind Kefka, yeah, they're all out and about. And they are for real. This is 4 corporals. These are the ones I think that counterattack. Depending on how hard they hit, not sure if that matters, because I think Terra and Sabin are both in the back row. Oh, I'm not hitting them very hard, though. Terra, at this point in the game, is a little bit weak. Even so, I'm a little disappointed that she didn't just roast them. I did make sure to keep multi-target damage in both parties. Edgar for the other party, Terra for this one. And since we have so many fights to do, I think it might actually just be worth it, because he's a little bit softened up. Yeah, I'll take that swing. 38. 38's a little hard. I did stock up on a lot of potions, because you do tend to just run through them here. It's best to keep everybody as topped up as you can. And minor potions are very cheap, so we'll just burn a bunch of those. I would say the Sabin Terra party is probably gonna be our weakest one. Oh shit, and another platoon of 4. Okay, so I'm not gonna bother getting swung on. The corporals will only counterattack your attack commands. So if you use magic or blitzes like the aura cannon here, you're good to go. I guess 2 fires could probably roast them. Man, are 2 multicast fires even gonna be enough to kill 1 corporal? Not sure, because I think they have an excess of 200 HP. Guess we'll find out. If not, I'm just gonna have to start... Yeah, I'm gonna have to start single targeting these. Huh, that's a shame. I also don't want to be using Terra's heal from her either in battle or out of battle, because I want to try to conserve some of her MP. In fact, we probably want to get Gao and his group involved in some of this too. Edgar and Locke's party is going to be super good though, because we have Locke, who doesn't normally do that much damage at this point in the game, but I did give him the black belt that I used to have on Cyan. So he's going to be doing counterattacks pretty frequently. Like there's a 50-50 that he's going to get a counterattack off. As long as they're hitting him. And then the Bioblaster on Edgar is just, ace right now. Sweep those. Sure we're topped up on you. And this is kind of a lengthy endurance run. And there will be a couple of new enemies coming into this as we go. Let's also start to show off Gao a little bit. Let's get these guys contributing. So we've seen Celeste before. We've seen what she can do with the runic command, and she has her own magic. It's what she was talking about with Terra. We've seen plenty of Cyan. We have not yet seen what Gao is really capable of, and what Gao can do is fucking awesome. So I've... oh man. Raged into Lesser Lobos, which gives him a multi-target fireball and the hover property. Good lord. So he'll choose to either attack or use the fireball as a Lesser Lobos at random every time his turn comes up. Still only fighting corporals and the other brand of soldiers, though. So after this battle, if we're not getting new enemies in there, we'll start to skip a couple. Because there's, what, like 12 of these? 12 or more? And then we also have to start making our way down to Kefka. So you do have to kind of advance on him over time. Although it's a good opportunity to just grind a little bit if you need to. If you're feeling a little bit underleveled, which I am. So I could also just let this run for a bit. But as long as you have the two sides protected and they can't reach Banon and the Esper, you're good to go. Ooh, and a pincer attack. Oh, sorry, not Silver Lobo. I mixed those up. I think I was calling it a Lesser Lobos. Either way, that's gonna be like the go-to one right now. Aren't too many better options for this part. At least none that we have access to. There are a couple of good ones for the boss that the boss I don't think we have. There's also that thing of like, back when we were defending Terra, if one of the groups of Mughals died or got KO'd in battle, they would respawn back at Terra with 1 HP, so they never got truly game overed. The same thing will happen here, except you'll spawn back at the save point. So if you do it too close to Banon, you won't be able to get back to him to intercept whatever's coming after him. Hey, something new. What is it, a Fidog or a Fighter? Fidor. I like their designs, man. They're good sprites. There are two types of dogs you can run into. One is the Vector Hound. The Vector Hounds will flee when they're the only thing left, when all the other soldiers are gone. Fidors are the exact opposite. They become more dangerous when they're the only enemy left, because they start spamming Pounce. Okay, I think it's time to actually start making my way down to Kefka. And before we can actually fight Kefka himself, we have the Hell Rider, who looks super cool, actually. Like, that whole sprite is dope. Okay, we'll spam Fang with my boy Cyan, single target Blizzard, and yeah, the Lesser Lopros. There are a couple of different enemies. One of them, I think, is the Moo with Snare. And there's something else you can use against the Hell Rider that's really good against him. Something that I don't have. Actually, there's something else that would be really good against Kefka, because he is vulnerable to a status effect called Stop. But I don't think I have the enemy in Gao's Rage that will do that. So again, we're gonna just stick with the Lesser Lopros, because that thing is super good. Look at that. Oh my god, that damage! That's a multi-target fireball spell that just did 962. Gao is a beast, man. He's a beast, man, but he's also a feral child. Holy shit. Gao is super fucking good. Like, the trade-off to his rage is that you can't control him once you engage it. But who cares, man? He's so strong. And none of that stuff costs him MP, I don't think. Oh, here we go, here we go. Now we get to see his actual battle sprite. Too bad we don't get to hear his good theme yet. And that sprite, of course, a lot closer to his portrait art. One of the ones I actually love, that Jester art. To see that battle sprite instead of the normal world map one. It's a good one, too. And it's a real fight. This is a real-ass fight. Kefka knows insanely strong magic. This is why I made sure to have Celeste in the boss party, so she can spam Runic and absorb all that high-level magic that he can cast at you. Like Blizzara. This turns Kefka into a joke. Because meanwhile, you have Cyan absorbing all of his big damage, and you have, you have Celeste absorbing all of his big damage, and Cyan spamming Fang, Gao raging out, and it's awesome. I'm actually not even sure if Cyan's Tiger, his third Bushido, works here, but it doesn't even matter. You can just wreck his shit. He occasionally does like these piddly 50 damage swings at you. Yeah, like that. Like, it's absolutely nothing. You just have Cyan, of all people, stop attacking for a turn and use a potion if you really, really have to. Because, like, you don't want to have Celeste stop attacking. You don't want to, or you don't want her to stop using Runic. You'll take way more damage that way. And Gao can't. So that's it. That's Kefka. That's Kefka 1. And we get the Peace Ring. But that's real-ass Kefka. Huh. Wish he would have fought like that back at the Imperial camp. So what's going on with the Esper? It was a close call. Can it still be alive? Why they decided to bring it out of the cave and bring it out to the top of a cliff? To the edge of a cliff? No idea. So we didn't have such a good time last time Terra encountered this Esper. But it's reacting a little bit differently this time. Blew everybody back, too. Gao is standing tall. What is this feeling? And if the Kefka fight was the climactic portion of the end of the first act, this would be kind of the point where we get a little bit of exposition and falling action before we're getting ready to ramp it back up again with Act 2. So we're being encouraged to stay away from the Esper. Almost like it has bad intentions, or maybe it's just too strong for us, or what the hell? Terra has gone Super Saiyan. Fucking love the noise she makes. That's an impressive feat for the Super Nintendo sound chip. I really like when they try to render voices. They do that with Kefka's laugh. They do that there. And there's one other point in the game that I can think of where that trick is used insanely well. Awesome. This part is awesome. So everybody just went to sleep. Yeah, that's right. Locke did get knocked out. So I guess not. Okay. Fair enough. She changed into something and took off. She looked just like an Esper. And the theme kicks in again. You know, I sometimes forget that it's Edgar and Sabin who are the brothers and not Edgar and Locke. Yeah, well, we know that Terra is inherently magical. So some connection between her and the Esper, so we still know relatively little about. That seems like a given, right? And we still have everybody else. The Empire still wants that Esper. And we kind of have an idea of where she went. There were reports of her streaking through the sky. But towards where? Those who aren't searching for Terra will stay and protect Narshe, and then we'll use Figaro Castle to take us to the Western Province. Either Kullingen or Jador. So once again, we are going to split the party, and that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.